Hey, we got a little microphone.
It's easy to get stuff on the shelf.
Time to call the meeting to order. Proof of certification and. Up to roll call.
Severson. Fleming. Cockernall.
Here.
Stronghold. Here. Valteen. Here. McGraw.
Here.
Tim.
Here.
Meyer.
Here.
Durst.
Yep.
Thank you.
Here.
Palmer.
Here.
York. Willis. Nix. Here. Hendricks.
Here.
McCarthy.
Any changes anybody wants on the agenda? Make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? So be it. Has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes? Any concerns?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll second.
Second by Kirby. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Public comment. We have one. It's your turn.
Well, there's a couple things that I wanted to talk to you about, Mr. Will. I'd like to talk to you about Mr. Willis because I approached him because his son is now married to my granddaughter, and he said he has never been on this committee. The last he knew it was a Mr. Fry from over in that area, and that's why he doesn't come. So you might want to check into that. And the other thing, I want verification on this rumor that I heard. And I don't know if you'll give it to me or not, but I'm not afraid to ask. And that's the money that Mr. Palmer had brought up has been located. That had been put in the general fund. And this came from a very reliable source.
What?
And the next thing I'd like to talk about is making us a district where we have more funding. Because there are grants and things available to run that. We've had a fire district for many years. I can remember when it was separated, city and county. And there's nothing wrong with having a district and everybody pay a little bit toward it. Because otherwise, the municipalities and the townships are not going to be able to afford the increase. And it's something you really need to think about. Having a district is not bad. Now, I'm not saying you have to put it with the fire department because they don't want us. They've never wanted us. And it's only after I joined 34 years ago that we even had them coming to accidents, blocking off traffic and making landings for helicopters, Medflight. They come and do our assist with lifting, carrying people downstairs, getting people out of vehicles. We've done our own extricating from vehicles when I started in this business. And they don't want us, but they're willing to help us out. By not wanting us, what I mean is they don't want us housed with them. So there's a lot of things that you need to look at, but it is the best way to go because the amount of money that's being talked about to give to the county to run this is going to really, really hurt some townships, municipalities, and the city of Richland Center. And Mayor here may have more to say about that. And what was the other one I had? Oh, the financing budget, yep. And the vehicle maintenance. We have spent so much money on maintaining these vehicles that we have because there hasn't been any money to buy new ones. Now, we could have had a new vehicle a long time ago, and this committee would not listen to me when I told you at the committee meeting, and Darren asked for that money for salaries for the people he hired. And he said, no, it's going to go for their wages. And that's why we're driving everybody else's old ambulances, because they come from the surrounding villages when they got new ones. And every ambulance we have has to be furnished the same. And a lot of people in the general public don't know that. One of them who attends meetings all the time and is not here is Suzanne Fish. She never knew that till this summer. There's so many things that people don't know what is needed by this ambulance service. And the other thing I have down here is, I think I checked off the billing reports. Are they any better? I don't know. Okay. That's all I have to say right now.
Thank you. EMT delegation? None present. Director's report.
All right, so we will start with our call data. Call data that you have in here is a couple weeks old, and I'm going to tell you it's been a busy couple weeks because when I look at runs, number of runs being 1,008, I finished a run about a half an hour ago and it was 10:43. We're busy. I presented the data to you in a different, I think actually this may be the same type as last time, just so you know where we're going, the type of calls that we're going on. And that's the number of runs that we've had this past month, that's up to year to date. So it's been a busy month. Any questions on call volume?
How hard is it to tell what township you come out of?
We can run a report.
Just to once run it or something, just so we get an idea of kind of approximately.
Sure, I can run it. I can run it for next month to tell you what your calls or for, nope, it's a report that I programmed in specifically to be able to run. So I can bring that with our call count. I can add in the numbers per township if that's what you'd like. All right, yeah, I need that. Just steal a pen. Forgive me 1 second. If I don't write it down, it won't happen. All right.
Question,
Yes.
have we gotten that call, average call that a OU is gonna be based on? Are those accurate yet?
Tricia, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, and if you want, we have it under review of MOU is when I plan to talk about it, so I can share it and we can talk about it then.
Okay.
Any other questions on calls? All right, the next one is our financial statements. The first sheet is the easier, simplified version. However, we have to put all of these together to get a full picture of where we're at. It's the run, yep, the next one down. So if we look, we can see that the payroll is 40,718.75. Our receipts coming in were 44,798.18. And expenses disbursements going out were 10,527.76. The balance forward, I know it shows the negative, but that's because that I don't have access. We're going to cover that next, Gordon, I promise. I promise. On the balance sheet, they did the fund transfer of the nearly 400,000. And so when you see this negative number, it isn't that. The fund transfer is not in mine because the clerk's office did the transfer. I don't have access to that. But that number, when we go to the next sheet, is on that. When we go to the budget report. And you look at the fiscal activity of ambulance fees invoiced. That's where we see 662,000. And then look this down. That number includes the number that was carried over, I do believe. I want to point out the 662,000. We have 33, it's the top line of the budget report in your.
Negative, this,
Should have in your packet.
it's blue, huh?
Well, mine is.
Do you have the current packet? Did you pick up a new one?
I think so.
It's the 6th page.
Amended agenda.
The other one, about to get back on it was, like, one.
Big enough, big enough.
There you go. Mine was for you.
Thank you.
Good. I want to make sure you're where we are.
Yeah.
So we only have a third left, and these reports are through August. So we are on track where we should be. We're going to have the money come in that we budgeted for, and I expect us to be exceeding that. The other income lines,
Make a comment to that.
yep,
So you're gonna have the revenue coming in.
yes,
That's not cash.
correct.
And all of the bills you pay, all of the payroll that you pay cash. So that's Gordon, I think, his question.
Thank you.
And if you go back to the
Yep.
negative 148, I guess my question is, how is that being funded? How are you funding a cash deficit?
The cash deficit isn't showing, we had a billing. I want to say a billing problem. There was a correction that needed to be made with the billing company.
But that's revenue. That's not cash. The $400,000 was a revenue correction, not a cash correction.
That affected our cash balance, though.
But not to the entire 400,000. It couldn't have. Not when you've gone from 60,000 in receivables to 300,000 in receivables.
Correct.
It's
But
just the first of the year. Because receivables are a use of cash. They're not a source of cash. So what this committee is not seeing is what is the true cash position of this entity?
That is your balance sheet that's in here. And
It's
you-
not a true balance sheet.
That's all that the clerk's office could give me.
Okay.
We
So-
can have the clerk come next month.
That would be great because I have so many questions. And just for the group, my background is in banking. I'm a retired business banker. I've looked at financial statements for 40 years, thousands of them, and I can't figure this out. And Barbara has been very helpful and very gracious. I've had conversations with her, but we have no idea what's going on here financially with this entity based on the information that we get every month.
Where did that 400,000 transfer come from?
So what happened was when we got the new billing company, they were not breaking down the information and the money like we needed it to be broken down. So they were putting it all in one and they weren't talking about what the write-offs were, what any of that were. So the money was coming in, was in the general fund, so that is correct. And once we were finally able to get the billing company to give it to us in the format that we needed it, so we could make appropriate allocations, that's where that money came from. So yes, it did go in the general fund just as a placeholder until it could be put into this fund.
You're saying $400,000 went into the general fund?
I don't know how much it was, to be honest.
Well, if you took 400,000 and transferred it over
Where did you get the 400,000?
from you, You said last month you put 400 and
I
transferred
think if you go back to the-
470,000 some
If
dollars.
you go back to the June statement, you'll see that, and that's about what it was. It's $400,000. And that's fine. What they did is fine. I understand completely what they did. Because they had a changeover in a vendor, and that's fine. And they were negotiating how to correctly record that. So they just put it in the general fund temporarily. And when they got everything straightened out with the new vendor, they put it back where it belonged. That's fine. But the thing we need to understand is that $400,000 is not $400,000 of cash. It's $400,000 of revenue. And those two things are not synonymous, because most of our revenue is in the form, is accounts receivable from insurance companies, from Medicare, from private pay people. Okay? We don't get the cash until they actually pay us. And from what I can tell in looking at the receivables, and that's really the only good information I've seen so far, is we have a serious cash problem. And that negative $148,000 bears it out, unless I can get some other information saying that it isn't. But when you go from 60,000 in receivables on January 1 to over 300,000 in receivables in September, you have a serious cash problem. And so we as a group need to know, what is the cash position? You know, what is the financial viability of this entity? I can't tell you that today, but somebody should know that. We should all know that, right?
I think some of that will come out when we talk about the budget for next year. I'm hoping that I'll be able to clarify some. I know you don't have a lot of faith in that, but I have a lot more faith in those numbers than I do in anything currently.
Okay.
So those are the numbers that I have. I will be happy to ask the clerk next month to come and explain the report.
Chairman, I just would, by way of background, the reports that we've dealt with, at least since I joined the committee back in 2017, have been abysmal in terms of trying to figure out how the reporting system matches with the way the company that's collecting them reports it back. And so the fact that these numbers don't mean anything are unintelligible is a problem that has been here. The only thing that I could rely on was the actual cash in account. I think it's 51, is that?
Yes.
Yeah, and that was a good barometer for a while. And then when we had the problem with the billing company, then that just, didn't make a lot of sense anymore either, except from the standpoint of not collecting the money. So finding out more would be good.
Good. Hopefully.
Are there any other questions that I can answer on the, or attempt to answer on the report?
We talked just about that balance summary.
Just about the balance summary.
Or, yeah,
The,
account summary, I'm sorry.
yes. All right, if we can go down then to the balance sheet. This was specifically requested. Can you do a couple plots to make it bigger? There we go. And adjusted, that makes it a lot easier to see. So the balance sheet is what I believe Gordon was asking for. I've tried to provide it. This is our assets with the fund balance of 297, which I think is what you were referencing before, knowing what that was. Revenue and the expenses with the balance being where we were. So you're gonna see the fund balance, you're gonna see the assets. The assets include everything, I assume. And our liabilities.
So that's a question I have. What makes up the assets?
I can ask,
Is it all cash? Is it cash? Is it depreciable, equipment? What
it
is- what is
cannot
it?
be all the depreciable equipment not at 289 because my ambulances alone are worth that.
Okay. But are they depreciated on the balance sheet?
They may not. I don't have that. I wish I could give that to you.
So Trish, I'm assuming somebody from the county prepares these statements.
All right.
They're out of our system. So it's out of our Tyler system that manages all our finances.
I mean, because typically a balance sheet would just show more than total assets, total liabilities.
Is that
It
just
would be,
the
it would,
fund?
it would break down the assets. It would break down the liabilities. Again, I think what this committee needs to know is what's the cash?
I wonder if the assets are mostly that fund balance, the actual remainder of that 400,000 is
No, because that's not cash. That's not an asset. That's revenue.
a revenue.
Revenue is not an asset.
I don't have the information there.
You can, if you have the correct permissions in Tyler, you can click on the links and then get to that, but I don't have access to that.
Can I just ask a question because I'm very confused? Who can the clerk
The clerk.
explain this?
You and the clerk or our finance director will be able to explain it. So we'll have them come next month and have them answer your question.
I really think we need that because we're just sort of in the dark, have been for a long time, I think.
There's some of the talent on our committee that knows more than some of us do about finance.
Absolutely.
So that cash flow statement,
It'd be great.
yeah.
Typically, a financial statement is an income statement, which is the account summary. It's a detailed balance sheet, and it's a cash flow statement. That's typically what you would see monthly from an entity,
Okay.
especially an entity that has
Balance sheet.
$1 million a year in revenue.
Can we ask for that?
That's what I'm trying to get written down, so I make sure I bring you back what you want. So detail, balance sheet, cash flow statement, and what was the third thing?
Income statement, which is really what the account summary is an income statement.
So you're satisfied with that?
Absolutely.
The concerns that I have are, it appears as though our expenses exceed our revenue. And who's covering that? How's that being covered? Is that the county's covering it out of some other fund? Or,
There are grants that we are getting that you're not seeing here because they're not kept in Fund 51. So the grants that we got last year were over $60,000.
60?
Yes. And, that's part of what covers that. It's the FAP money. There was also ARPA money that covered part of it.
So should we have that listed someplace on a report though too?
Yeah, I can list the grants, but I don't have access to the ARPA. So I like literally cannot help you with that, but I can list the grants.
ARPA money, that was when the one place is giving back to the county. Wasn't it?
ARPA was American Recovery Program from COVID.
Yeah.
And so it was those dollars that were spent, and there was quite a bit of that money.
Is that still available?
The best of my knowledge was it had to be spent by the end of the year.
Should be used up by a certain.
End of this year or last year?
Last year.
So, yeah, so there's nothing in this year.
No.
But I think to answer your question, Shirley, if there's a deficit, it is the county. It's the county service. It is the county that covers. And so if there's not money in here and we have to replace a roof, it's the county board and the county funds that would cover it. If all three of our ambulances truly just tanked tomorrow and we couldn't use any of them and we had to purchase a new one, it is ultimately the county that is covered, that would have to cover and that is responsible.
Barb, did you say there were grants? And they didn't go into Fund 51 either?
They're separated, they're in ambulance funds, they're not in 51 because grants are kept in separate pots because they have to be spent for specific items. They can't be spent for building heat, can't be spent for the.
So
things.
what fund did they go into?
They go into a separated fund for the grant purpose. So I think.
And we've
46
never seen any of those.
Yep, and that's just it, that, because they're not funds, they're specific funds that are used for ambulance, but not for operating expenses. Like, I have a grant that's gonna buy new cardiac monitors. I have a grant that's gonna pay for a maintenance on, the Lucas devices. Those types of grants aren't seen in this operating. But you're also.
They should show up somewhere for
But
this
the expenses
committee
aren't
though.
shown either.
Because they're very specific. I can't utilize them for payroll. And so it wouldn't be appropriate to put the monies on here.
If you guys have specific questions you want answered, I know that Barb wrote down a bunch of them, but if there are other very specific questions that you want answered before the next meeting, if you could email Barb or myself, and we can work on trying to make sure we get everything answered that you guys have questions about. I know Barb wrote some down, I wrote some down.
All right. Any other questions that I can attempt to answer? And I will try to get those reports and Derek or, Leanna, sorry, to mid next month. Okay, we'll go on with vehicle maintenance. Last month, we didn't have a lot. There was an alignment problem with 33 that it was actually not an alignment problem, it was a brake hose that was collapsing. We got that fixed and I think that, and there was wiring that was done in Unit 35 by previous internal staff that needed to be done up to code. So we took it to a new provider and that was our second expense. That was all, those are all the expenses we had last month. But they're all in better operating. Ready to go.
Why are we showing 2024 vehicle maintenance also?
We can take it out if you want.
Well, I mean, this is 2025.
It's to give you the
2024.
history, but it's just to keep a history on what the trucks are really costing us, but I can take it out if you like.
I think it's useful in terms of evaluating how much you've stuck into the vehicle since you acquired it.
Most of these expenses, it looks like the ambulance, the majority of the ambulance was out of service maybe one day, it looks like. So.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, the next one would be the billing report. Billing report has your aging on it and the AR, the payments, the adjustments, and your ending AR.
So my question on this report is the receivable, is that before or after adjustments?
It includes the adjustments. so it's after.
So it's after.
So the 281,000 on September 1 was after the adjustments for insurance.
I do believe that is correct.
You said after the adjustment for insurance,
Yes.
what does that mean?
If we go back to the account summary report, we're showing revenue for the year, ambulance fees invoice 662. That's what they invoice at the total.
Got it.
But Medicare, Medicaid, and insurance companies paid less than that.
It's the write-off.
It's the disc, well, yeah, what is it called on here? Yeah, insurance write-offs, right?
So the.
So the 281 is after the write-off of the 257 year to date.
Yes.
The page in the packet that we received is portrait. This is laid out landscape and so.
Oh, I cut off.
First couple of.
If you look online, it is laid out this way because that's where she's pulling this from. Yeah,
I can read it here.
so I apologize for that. I'll, switch it.
Oh, this is supposed to be 200
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's why I was confused.
yeah. The other ones are up there, and if you look online, it's all online as well.
Yeah.
So,
And the September numbers aren't complete, obviously. That's just when I pulled the data, that's where we're at.
question. Do we have an opinion, impression on what percentage of the ending AR will be collected? Like our yield or whatever that term would be?
I have not been in this position long enough to
To-
make
to see
an
that.
impression on that.
I mean, if you look at the trend, you can assume that it's gonna be about $35,000 to $40,000 for the last 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
I don't see it being any more than that.
True.
Something that I have a conference call tomorrow at noon with the billing company. With some concerns that I have noted in the time I have been here, and so hopefully that will help with some of this. I know that they do quarterly statements, and I don't find that appropriate. I think we need to do monthly. And there are a couple other concerns that I have over their way that they do business, so I think that maybe some of that would help to do monthly instead of quarterly. But
Yeah, well, adds up to 400,000.
You operate that much for every month?
Quite a bit of stuff onto.
No. Well, that's true. That's true, yeah.
You and anything else on the building? Got another chart.
the next thing is the roof RFP. We put it out. I put it on VendorNet, and it was on the website for almost 3 weeks. Received 1 bid. The bid that came in is not what you had asked for. You had asked him to look at putting on the wood with the peaked roof. That was what the RFP stated. He didn't, he offered an alternative bid. He does offer, I put the entire estimate into your packet with the warranty he's offered with this. He did speak to me before submitting his bid, and I told him he'd be welcome to submit a separate bid, but just so you're aware, it is not what you were looking for with the peaked roof. This is to replace the flat roof. he describes what it's a 20-year warranty on the materials, 15 on the labor. And it would be for roof sections. You could do A, B, and C, and he broke it down into amounts. A is the newer part of the building, I believe. No, I'm sorry, A is the old building. B is the back part,
Sees the
and
garage.
C is the garage. And then this front that comes off at the front of C is not, that's the new addition. So we would need to do all three parts, it'd be 47,000. And then, like I said, he has given you a 20-year warranty on this suggestion. I'll be honest, I don't know enough about roofing to know if it's acceptable or not.
Any thoughts on that, anybody?
Well, just to make a comment, this is, I guess you'd call it hearsay, but I was told that if the drains were kept clean, and a little tarring was done, that roof never leaked.
When we purchased the building, the REC knew that the roof leaked.
Okay,
They gave us,
Clerk
Yeah.
disclosed that.
yes.
yeah, they gave us some money that was put towards the repairs that we did once on the roof.
I actually went up there at some point and saw the tears
Yeah,
where the leak was, and they weren't necessarily associated with the drains.
No, I was there with you.
You were there also.
Yeah, it was tired
It's a tired roof.
and it wasn't always put together right to start with, if I remember, on the edges where it went into the bricks and the flash, and some of that stuff. But I'm not a roofing expert, but at least that's what that gentleman he was from Muscadet, wasn't he?
It was, is.
Robert's name.
I don't know anything about roofing. I'm skeptical that, because we put this out for bid 2 summers ago. And
This is just a
the
fraction.
lowest one was 90 something, I think.
It was 110, I think.
110?
That's
Very
what I
good.
remember.
110.
I knew it was right around 100, yeah, that's why I'm like, huh?
So without somebody with some expertise to look at what this is, and then that's the other point is it's not responsive to the,
And that bid, that 110, was the only company that bid exactly the specifications we wanted, I believe.
it's the closest one, yeah.
I think so.
And the others were way more expensive.
They were, yeah,
200,000.
Yeah,
and didn't have anything to do with peaking a roof,
right.
It was still
This was-
flat roof.
still a flat. So I'm not sure that building more roof to make it slope is what you want to do, but this isn't that, and I'm not sure what this is.
That company was Neiman Central Wisconsin Roofing Company. Neiman Central Wisconsin Roofing. That came up with that bid.
Did you go back and contact them and see if they?
That was 110,000.
Yes.
I didn't have anything to do. You
I
mean,
mean, I can,
this recently?
No, the Neiman company that put in the bid that came closer to what we wanted. Is that what you're saying?
That was.
That was the one, yeah.
Did any of them include the pitched roof or Or is it all just for?
I think they were all
flat.
flat. They all ended up flat.
That's true.
All flat, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the peak, the sloping part construction was not included in the request.
We did add it to the request this time.
I will say that I think, you know, minor construction has a reasonable reputation as far as I ever knew. Which, I mean,
I've had
is the
a-
fact that they're not busy nowadays, that everybody isn't having to pay overtime to get a job done? Would change it that much? I don't know.
I had Carson Finer do work on my house, and I was pleased with what he did. I have no idea what he does for roofing.
Anybody likes flat roofs too well in this cold climate, but be what it is. You can keep them from leaking too. I mean, if it's done right.
He's guaranteeing no leaks.
Has some kind of a warranty there. I mean, it's kind of specific.
Workmanship.
That other, that other company included a 20-year warranty. No possible additional costs at flat rate of $110,000.
There is a page here that says, you know, fee of $175,000 a year, you know, after the third year. 15-year labor, 1 year with that fee added to it, I would
I
assume.
think that fee is if we went and inspect it.
Yep.
Well, they probably check for any little issues that might be starting.
Yep.
And it's probably, if you did a roof and a new one, that's probably a fairly reasonable fee for somebody to go up and go all around the roof. Because then it does end up with a 15-year labor warranty and 20-year material warranty. And it's a lot less money.
A whole lot, like half.
And they'll guarantee it. But I'll bet you a slope roof would be a lot higher. And if we
Any
do,
engineering fees,
if
and
we do
everything was
50
positive. Because it's a public building, it would just,
Yep.
I'm afraid it would just really, I could be wrong, but the extra weight and everything would all have to be figured in, don't you think?
it'd be an engineering project, yeah.
That might be why we had no bid.
And it would probably be, I would guess, 3 to 4 times as much money easily.
Yeah, just
And right now, it's, the roof is leaking now.
easily $500,000.
It didn't leak today. What did it say?
Wind didn't blow the wrong direction.
Didn't rain really super hard either. It was nice gentle rain.
Well, I don't mind being cheap if we can get away with it. Isn't what we asked for, really.
Well, we only advise anyway. We don't make the decision on this roof, do we?
Yeah, county board's gonna have to.
That's
say,
correct, right? This would be sent as a recommendation to the county board.
Yep.
Actually, to the finance committee, if I'm not mistaken, administrator.
Yeah, executive and finance and.
Motion to recommend to the county board finance committee approval of the bid from Finer Construction LLC to repair the roof.
I'll second that.
Just a question about the voting. Does that include going into the yearly?
Yes, because if you read through this, if you don't do that, you're gonna get into a situation where we would have told you if you would have called me, and the costs are gonna go crazy. And if somebody doesn't read this and they call for third-party help, it says in here that voids your warranty.
Yeah. That's
So,
what I told.
yes.
So any other comments on the motion on the table?
I just made one comment, which is, we knew when we bought the building that it had an issue, as been mentioned. The other thing is, someone has to go up there at least twice a year to do what you suggest, which is keep those drains clear. And so we'll have that covered at least once. And maybe we could figure out a way to get them up twice.
I'll be honest with you, Jason Marshall went up and did it for me a month ago
Yeah.
and got it all cleaned out for me. When it leaked the first time, he went up to make sure that that wasn't the problem.
So, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next on the agenda. Discussion and possible action, review of MOU. There's a contract.
All right, so I will pass out the call numbers, and then I will give you an update on what happened at the full county board last week. What was taken to full county board was a draft MOU and a resolution to rescind the previous resolution that created the JAC. The resolution was modified on the board floor to say that, there will not be a MOU with the townships, that really this should be a contract. That we are providing a service to the towns, the city, the municipalities, and that a contract would be provided and not an MOU, and that there would not be a joint ambulance committee anymore. And that is what the full county board voted on. So at the end of the year, there will no longer be the joint ambulance committee. The ambulance service will be run as a business, and we will offer contracts to the municipalities, townships, and we'll be requesting that all entities commit by November 1st so that we can plan accordingly for the following year. So the call numbers that were provided have been adjusted a little bit for two entities. They have been, so these were originally provided to Executive and Finance last month. They've been adjusted for the town of Richland and Richland Center because of Pine Valley. It sounds like there was a gentleman's agreement 10 years ago that the city of Richland Center would cover Pine Valley's calls. The city of Richland Center is saying it is not in our area, that we are not responsible for Pine Valley. And so it is, those numbers were put in the town of Richland. Because Pine Valley is in there.
There's no way Richland, excuse me, no way Richland is gonna pay for Pine Valley.
Then what will need to happen is you will need to find a different provider. Because Pine Valley is in your area and it is your responsibility, just as Schmidt, Woodland Hill, Schmidt is in the city, our house is in the city, Harvest is in the city, and they're responsible for taking care of those.
How many calls are we talking about?
We went from 57 average to 124.
So 7 is something.
We went from paying $9,600 a year with this to 27,000. There's no way Richland County.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get some data.
No, I'm not mad at you
So,
or anything.
I just want to find out what the number is.
Yeah,
So it's around 70 something.
Richland Township gets no benefit from Pine Valley being in the township. And you're making us pay for ambulance calls to something that we don't get any revenue from?
The tax base there is there, because it's public.
Right.
It's not.
Every time and I don't believe the city was paying for Pine Valley all those years. Paul Corcoran volunteered to do it, but according to Darren Gudge, they were never billed for. That's what Darren told.
And here's the thing, moving forward, we need to be able to afford to run this service. It is not the obligation of the county. We are not mandatory, required to have an ambulance service. If we are going to continue to provide this service, it has to be run in a way that the county does not lose money. And so we are trying to build a budget and build a service that can be sustained long-term. because we need a new ambulance, which is, the quote that was in the packet from April was over 300,000. The roof is going to be 50,000. There are constant expenses, prices continue to go up. The ambulance service has had the same per call cost since at least 2017, and I didn't go back any further than that. Barb has explained the call numbers are dramatically increasing, and even in just the last couple of weeks, they had over 40 calls like she shared.
Right.
I may have missed the number. Was there a number given as the per call charge?
225,
$225?
Yes.
Okay.
With the minimum of
with a
20.
minimum of 2,500.
With 2,500 being minimum, and then your calls charged out against that. You exceed it, then you have to pay more.
Correct,
That's all.
yes.
Or you guys go minimum higher.
And this is just for 1 year.
This is just for 1 year. So that's what we would look to do is every year offer a contract with the request or the mandate that we need to know by November 1st. If you guys are going to be a part of it so that we can plan accordingly for the following year. And the one nice thing about a contract, it goes both ways. It's not only you guys saying you're going to use our service and that we can plan accordingly for the future year. It's also the county saying we will provide this service to you and we will give you a 60-day notice if we're unable to provide the service.
Don, I have a question.
Sure.
So I was at the meeting last week when that came up, and I don't recall the portion about the joint ambulance committee ending at your end. Could you say more about that process? So would there be an opportunity for the customers of the county's ambulance service to have discussion, learn about what's going on, or would that become part of another standing committee at the county?
It would become part of another standing committee, it would most likely report to public safety. It's who it will most likely report to, but just as any of our, this is all public record.
Right.
At any point in time, there can be requests made, public records, requests made, information.
Right.
I'm sorry if I'm not listening carefully. Were the nursing facilities, the nursing homes, that are in Richland Center assigned to Richland Center to pay them?
Correct.
And how much is that?
How many calls went there? We didn't
Yeah.
break the information down.
Okay, that's I think Brian's kind of going for the same point. I'm gonna back up the Pine Valley just for a minute. The county owns it. Yes, you're right. County doesn't have to provide an ambulance service. I get all that, and you're right. It can't lose money and we need more money. That's why we're driving to use the ambulance. It's no argument. Everybody that lives in the county pays taxes that support Pine Valley. Why can't we take the calls to Pine Valley and spread them throughout this county? Because I don't think one township can pick that up. I don't know if that township can absorb that.
We can't. Richland can't.
That was where I was going, Todd. It doesn't seem fair to me to dump the Pine Valley on Rich Lunch. And though I don't think it's fair to dump it on Richland Center either.
But I don't want to, here's what I don't want to see over this. Because this is going to cause a civil war in Richland Township. They're all going to scream and, "Hey, look what you're doing to me."
Well, I understand.
Okay, so here's the thing. I don't want Richland to then go, "Well, then we're leaving." Over this. Is it breaks the whole thing. Is there, this is what the county board wants? Trish, is that what?
Yes, it was voted on and approved by the county board.
And how many calls are we talking about that for the Richland Center-based facilities?
Well, I'd have to have that broken down.
I would have to go
Yeah,
back
we
and
didn't
check
look
the
at
data.
that.
I don't have it off the top of my head. We could go back and research
Well,
it.
this Richland Center up here, it says 744 average.
Total calls, but how many of those are nursing
Oh,
homes?
Or not counted now? I don't know if that number includes that. But what I was mulling over in my head was we take the participating municipalities and just spread them out in some fashion.
I mean,
I don't know that I assume that I have folks that live in my township that are in one or more of these facilities. And if we're providing a service and we're trying to make it better for the people who live here, then in some way it ought to be spread around so that this burden is shared. In a way, it may not be entirely perfect, but better than this.
that's where you get into, for example, a discussion of a district. That's the point. And it could be a district, but absent that, leaving the structure we have, I absolutely think. I mean, it's the county made the decision to build Pine Valley Community Village. I fully support it. The old facility needed to be replaced. If you were in it for 10 minutes, you knew that. But the county did that. And the county shares the expense that service and so forth associated with Pine Valley. I can't imagine why sane people should not share the expense of moving people around in ambulances to and from Pine Valley, which does not belong to the city or any township. It belongs to every one of us, including its debts. So I don't know why the county board thinks, it doesn't matter, city, Richland, Willow, whoever else, that one entity within everybody should cover that county facility. I don't think any entity, city, township, period, should be asked to do that. Frankly, I think it's incredibly offensive. I can't believe somebody at the county board thinks you're gonna tell Richland Township their bill's going up, what was it?
From 96 to 27,000.
What is that? I mean, the town, Richland Township does not own and did not construct Pine Valley Community Village, neither did the city and neither did Buena Vista. I think if we're going to be a shared service funded by all, that county facility that services everybody here, we didn't say if you live in Boaz, you can't live in Pine Valley. So I don't know why the expense associated with using ambulance service for that facility isn't shared. I wasn't there. I don't know if the committee discussed that or not. How did they get here?
I know there was discussion about Pine Valley at the Executive and Finance Committee meeting. The question was asked, where do Pine Valley numbers go? The committee was informed that those go to the to the city of Richland Center. There were discussions with the city administrator who said, we will not, that's not in our jurisdiction. We're not required to cover those. And so those were then moved to the town of Richland.
Do you know if, because Ashley's not wrong, it's not in the city, it's not our facility.
Well,
So
I think,
did anybody say anything about shared among the group in the committee? Because that, I mean, I don't know why not. It just seems like that would be, when you buy an ambulance, everybody's money bought the ambulance, right? It's shared expense.
I think you're right, Todd. Sorry.
I agree, yeah.
So here's my question for you. If you had, say, Tri-State come in here, and they have the same model, would you negotiate with them and would you tell them we're not going to cover that entity? We'll cover everybody, but we're not going to cover any calls to the high school, or we're not going to cover any calls to Schmidt, or we're not going to cover any calls to our house. Do you as municipalities, under your statutory obligation, have the authority to do that?
Well, you might say that it's county entity and let the county take care of it. The county's built it, the county runs it, the county runs it for a profit, we would hope. And part of your expense is to make sure there's ambulance service for that institution.
But that is not a requirement of us. So if it was, say it was privately owned, Todd, are you gonna go to Schmidt and our house and Harvest and tell them they need to cover these costs?
What I'm saying is every municipality that participates in this is within the county that also owns the facility, and everybody in every one of these municipalities pays taxes to the county, for example, for Pine Valley and everything else. All I'm saying is I can't see why the cost isn't shared. I'm just explaining. That's too much to put on Richland Town. I don't see how they can pay it.
Well,
I'm just looking for a way to.
To take the analogy, why should the taxpayers of Richland Township pay 100% of the cost of a facility that has people that come not only from town of Richland, but all over Richland County.
Other
How's
counties as
that
well.
fair? You know, it's, you could broaden it out. Sure, there's people from all over. But,
At multiple facilities throughout the county. So it's not just
I'm
Pine
sorry?
Valley, at multiple facilities throughout the county. So then we're talking our house, we're talking about Harvest Group Home, we're talking about Schmidt, we're talking about Pine Valley. So it's not
Problem.
just one. There are at least 4 different places in the county that take people from the county and other counties.
Well, I suggest, for one thing, need to talk to Darren Gudgeon and see how he determined the number of calls that were assigned to each municipality. He had a formula. He called me after that last board meeting here and said that I was right when I said in that meeting that they were not charged to actually to the city. The city volunteered, Mayor Corcoran volunteered to take them. But Darren called me afterwards and said that they were never billed to the city.
But we are now, the county is in a position where we continue to have less dollars to provide mandatory, statutorily obligated services. And the county can no longer float, as Shirley had asked the question, who covers this?
You know,
Expense anymore. So the
Richland-
county is no longer able to continue to say, we can absorb, we can absorb, we can absorb. We don't have that ability to do that
okay,
anymore.
Richland Township does. Look at Richland Township. All you other townships, you got your township there. You know, it's a nice square. Richland Township, we're just the outskirts of a big island called Richland Center in the middle. We have 1/2 the area of all the other townships. And now you're expecting us to triple what we pay for ambulance service to a facility that doesn't even belong in our township?
We're not required to purchase. that.
You guys volunteered. I read your MOU. It says,
The
we
MOU,
will-
the MOU is not in existence. The county board determined to get rid of and not have an MOU. Come January 1, there will no longer be a memorandum of agreement, and it will be a contract that is offered. When the contract comes, your township has the right to say, I'm not going to get the services from there, and I will be getting my services
what if we
elsewhere.
can't get them? What if there's no other ambulance service that says, I'm gonna serve a donut around Richland Center? I don't think all these other ambulance services are not gonna be knocking our door down to get in there to get that business. Come on. This is ridiculous.
I do have a question, just, and Mayor probably could tell me. Is Schmidt and these other 2 or 3 homes, are they on tax rolls or not? Or are they all tax-free municipalities?
They're not all tax-free because some of them are for-profit entities. They're not owned by the municipality. for
Right.
instance. Yeah, I mean, look, guys, I can understand.
Well, I look at the tax, if you had a tax base for the building, if the damn thing is valued at $5 million, and you had that tax base,
So,
you'd have something.
all right, so I can understand the explanation the county's giving of their position fiscally. They're not wrong. I mean, no
Oh, I
kidding.
agree there.
And
They're not wrong, no.
They're not. And so I can see why, and I think I can see why change has to come here. I just don't, my position is, I can't see how one township can hold that and take that and pay it. That's my issue with it. So Trish is not wrong.
No.
If the approach is, here's a contract, sign it or don't, yeah. But then what? I mean, what I don't want to do, if it can be helped, is end this ambulance service. But if we start peeling off like that, it will. I mean, yeah,
what would, not talking about Richland Center's ambulance service problems with respect to the facilities that are in Richland Center. Because you're focusing on Richland Township, when I was just looking at the magnitude of the problem there
Yeah.
of 75 calls. You know, if you spread them around the townships, the other participating municipalities in some fashion. It wouldn't amount to that much if you're charging $225 a call. But that didn't solve any other problem.
So Trish, are you saying that Exhibit A in our packet is not valid?
Correct. Correct.
So when are we gonna see a contract? We have to sign it by November 1st.
There's gonna be one that is going to executive, the draft contract is going to executive and finance on Thursday. And as long as they are okay with it, we're hoping to get it out within a couple days after that.
They said,
I really wish there was a way we could take some of that load and distribute it.
just
Maybe not the whole load, but at least, how many calls are out of Pine Valley? Is it 70? Is that what we're talking?
75 is what it sounded like, rough numbers.
Here's another concern though,
That's
that,
what, 3 calls per township?
No, it's a little more than 5.
On the
Fine.
flip side, Brian, for every one of these, that is less than 10 calls per year, that's an added bill that's not covered, okay? So like for example, for a Yuba here, we're going from a 250 to a 2,500, that's a 10 times, that's a hell of a bill, we don't even spend $10,000 for taxes. Okay, so if you spread that out and add, you know, if you're over the 10, you're gonna get charged, I can see part of that, but for everybody that's under there, that's gonna be an additional charge on top of this.
here's another concern in Dayton Township. Most of our calls are associated with accidents on the highway. We don't have any tax benefit coming from the accidents on the highway either.
If
So
you're
to
under-
add even more to
if you
that,
only have like
it's a
5
burden.
calls, you wouldn't have an extra.
Nobody got paid $2,500.
Yeah, you have to pay 20.
I think that there is some equity in sharing some of it.
He's
But
got-
I have concern, I think we're already taking the highway share,
Okay, that doesn't cost any more.
so we have 1480.
This
So,
this is smart ass.
okay, never mind.
And it's probably too late to change anything to get it done on time.
Say that again?
Is it too late to get any changes in before we run out of time?
You mean as far as allocating the numbers?
Mhm.
I think if the contracts come back to us and all of the numbers are accounted for, but they're in different townships, we wouldn't turn them away.
You only collect $10,000 in taxes.
Plus 9,400.
Okay,
Didn't have many people even.
Wow.
Right there, so anything. That's over here.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. It's not my committee.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'm sorry, Trish, you answered this. When will we receive the contract?
Hopefully no later than Monday.
Okay, right away, so everybody can review what you get. I mean, she just gave you an out if you want it, is that we could change the numbers around. They just need to know they're covered. They're saying they can't lose more money at the county to have an ambulance. I'm sure they're not lying. So how do we want to do that thing? And this is the formula. If we municipalities, because I'm not gonna say this without talking to the city council, they're the decision-making body at the city.
Right.
But if
Same thing within
we,
the township.
absolutely, but if,
I'm not gonna make a decision tonight.
but if
I'm
we,
Sharing.
but when you have your contract, when we have our contract, if we get village board, city council, whatever, to agree to a split of however Pine Valley's built,
68.75 is the number of calls yearly average.
see how easy that would be to divide that amongst this many places?
It's over the 4 years, so it's the 275 total.
It can't be that hard to figure out with this many players if we're willing to do it. But we have to know if we're willing to do it.
City of Richland Center, but if by all rights would end up eating the lion's share. Because you have the lion's share of the calls to start with.
I don't, never. Typical Jerome.
So it would feed into, how would, if County Eagle got 4 more calls, our base number, that increases it times 225, 4 times 225. Okay, and then how does that relate to the 2,500 that I'm already paying?
What if you only have like a township that's only at, 3/4 of a call per year? They would already, and you add 4 to it, they'd still be at under 10.
That's
The
what I'm
county's not,
trying to
but
get
then
at.
the county's not getting their money.
The county's not getting their money out of,
Yeah. They can't, if I were in the county's shoes, I wouldn't want, they can't accept a shortfall, and I'm sure that's right.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's right.
And when you look at like a township that's only got like 1 call a year and they're paying 2,500 now, and they only have real low income property tax coming in.
Well, I can talk in Univista. They actually contract with Moon Rock.
And
So they have probably, boy, it seems like I'm out there a lot, so they got a lot of calls, well, they got Sexton Mill. That's but anyhow, this here is not really showing the right numbers, I don't.
They're not with us, correct?
Right, they're not with us. And, there's other townships, the whole township is not with Richland County.
Yeah, because that goes into what about townships that may have people down there, you get a whole can of worms. 'Cause then what about Forest,
yeah.
Bloom, Sylvan?
Mr. Chair, if you'll allow it, Judy's got something else to say over here. Stop listening to the chair.
To me, a person's life is more than any amount of money you're talking, okay? And we all pay taxes to the county of Richland. Why isn't there a system that can be used that everybody that lives in my house is charged X amount of dollars for ambulance service? And I'm paying for it up front. You have to stop and think about that.
And that is an option.
It's a very good option, because the day that Mr. Jensen was locked out, I have 2 family members with open heart surgery, okay? There was no AAMT available in this county then. That ambulance cannot leave the garage unless there's an A in it. Yes, they finally got one, but I didn't know that at first. And my son-in-law and my daughter, I told them both, if you need to go because you're having heart problems to Madison, I'll get the Impala out, and I guarantee you, we'll get stopped when we get out of Richland County, and I can get an intercept. That's how serious I am about this. What's a speeding ticket to one of my family's lives? Nothing. And everybody knows that Judy will drive fast as she has to. And I got the speeding tickets to show it, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. Anybody who don't have a speeding ticket, liars. But you've got to tax everybody. There are people who have property in this community, in this county, that don't live here. They need to be taxed for that ambulance service, because I picked up a lot of deer hunters that come here to hunt out in the woods, and they're not paying any bit for that service. And these are the things that everybody needs to know.
Mr. Chairman. It's my understanding, are you done?
For a while.
Thank you. It's my understanding that this is kind of a 1-year opportunity to figure this out during that year.
But who can afford
In the
that?
sense that we're getting this for 1 year, and then is the county going to make a concerted effort to explore the options they have as a county to assess for ambulance service?
For different funding levels, yes. Yes, that was something that Mike Justin was supposed to be doing when he was here before he left, and it never happened.
Well, he was trying.
But I never got anything. Like, there was nothing that I ever saw that was ever brought to my attention. There were never
I'm not trying to criticize you. I'm just asking, what are they doing now? Are they gonna do that next year?
The plan plan is that once there's a new service director in place, that is something that they would explore as those
Okay.
other options that are out there,
I mean,
yes.
the thing is, Brian, and anybody else, so it's the third week of September, and they're talking about November 1st. We cannot tap dance. Okay, and that's why it was probably why they offered 1 year, because then to get an opportunity to review and decide, or offer something else, whatever. But we don't have that luxury right now. I mean, every entity in here, represented in here, has got to have an ambulance service, and, you know, this thing runs through the end of December. So Pine Valley came up because it should have. So if we want to address that, we need to address that, and we have about 6 weeks to do it. And then have a 1 year agreement and go from there. Because otherwise, what you're gonna get, as Gordon just said, we're town of Richland calling around trying to find an ambulance service is gonna be an absolute fiasco. So what's the next phone call gonna be? Mr. Mayor, would the city come with us? Because if you will, and if the city and Richland Township disappear right now, you guys are all in huge trouble. And we can't have this mess.
No.
It's not good for anybody.
I agree.
I have,
And I will note that there is an error on call numbers for town of Richland. It's actually 19275. I apologize for that.
What is it?
192.75.
Or,
Instead of 124.
Didn't update that part on there.
what is changed? I didn't.
The total average was calculated wrong.
92.7.
124, average, you got 192.75 on average.
Even worse.
Yeah,
So what's added then, Gordon?
but that's about the 70, that's about 70.
So that's added on Pine Valley's numbers. The 124 was pre-Pine Valley. I apologize.
Okay, and then it's plus.
Could I ask one question of the county? Was
Yeah.
anybody in this room involved in the decision?
In this decision?
Yes.
No.
I think that's a little peculiar that the knowledge is here and that a decision that important was made without the input of those in the know.
I think this decision was made from purely a financial standpoint, that we looked at the service that we are currently running, the funds that we currently have and the needs that we have. And for us to be able to maintain providing this service to the community, this is what we needed to do. I feel like for years that the county has taken the brunt of the financial load and has, we're to the point where we can't do it anymore. We're to the point where for us to be able to maintain, we have to charge more. We've charged the same rate at least 9 years. Costs, we all know, costs have gone up significantly, especially since COVID, significantly. And we haven't made adjustments for years to our cost. And so for us to be able to maintain this service, this is what we have to do. And it's the county, as Shirley's question, was, it's the county who has to pick up the missing pieces.
But
On
in all
another,
other instances,
on another point too, there's a bunch of county board members do not want anything to do with the ambulance service at all.
That's right.
They would rather go to a district and be done with it. So
this service.
we
is
need to have
supposed
something in place for next year.
This service and the fire department are the only ones that are dealing with human beings. And I think that element has a lot of weight in the decision, and that's just my opinion.
I think, Brian, you mentioned that this was for 1 year contract. I have not heard from the county or seen anything in writing that this was other than it's a 1 year contract, that you were going to be studying to come up with something for next year. To me, it's a 1 year contract and you guys aren't going to do anything. I would not accept that 1 year contract unless it's written in the contract that the county will have a committee that's going to be studying and come up with a solution to this.
And you have every right not to sign the county's contract.
Oh, I know that.
Contract. So that is your choice, that's your township's choice. I
And
can't.
if nobody will provide it, we don't sign it. And nobody will provide us with ambulance service. Are you guys gonna come out there and do it free?
No,
Or you won't answer our calls?
don't have a contract.
You won't answer them? If no other ambulance service will cover us, we won't have any.
Because that's your obligation to provide ambulance service. It's not the county's obligation to provide ambulance service.
That's the law.
I know the law. Everybody knows the law, but the county is volunteering to provide ambulance service.
County is not volunteering to provide ambulance service. The county has a service that they are offering to provide.
Well, you give us some MOU, then you say, no, we're not gonna have an MOU, we're gonna have a contract. This says the county will provide, is the contract not gonna have that sentence in it, that the county will provide ambulance service?
Yes, the contract would say that this is what the county will do, this is what the township, the city will do. It will be an agreement that's put in place.
Did you have something, Brian?
Well, this is a stopgap. We are at a point where we've got to look for a more, larger contribution from taxpayer, one way or the other.
That's true.
And that's, the understanding that the county's going to be looking at funding opportunities in 27, 28, going forward. That's what I want to hear. I wanted to hear that several years ago. So we've got a 1-year problem, at least to deal with immediately here. And it seems, what I would recommend is that we go back to our respective boards and at least talk to them and see if the boards are willing to volunteer to pay for additional calls, several calls, as part of their side of the ledger to help spread the pain out a little bit of this transition. So what I hope will be a better funded, more revenue spread out more evenly and perhaps fairer.
So what is that number gonna be?
Well,
I don't think we can go to our town board and say, are you willing to pay? This is what we're going to be asked to pay. Are you willing to pay more? Question is gonna be how much more?
yeah, well, you'd have to kind of figure out how many additional calls would you be willing to pay.
And then what's Yuba gonna say?
Yuba may say that they can't afford it anymore. I don't know.
Okay. So then what happens to their share?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But we need to come to some kind of an agreement before we go to our town boards
That's what
with a number.
Chip is probably pay out and go. Whoever doesn't want us, if they're extended into Richwood, and what are we gonna do? If the town board says, no, we can't do that.
If everyone paid for 4 additional calls, we'd have everyone, but we'd be 8 short. And that isn't spread out by call volume, by revenue, it's just a simple, I assume we have 15 members here. Is that wrong? 2015
16, wasn't it?
participating
I think
municipalities?
I think it's 16.
According to this, you got 14.
14?
Yeah, but point 13. I think.
Oh, no,
Was it?
yeah. I think 16 was the members and that was county,
So,
2 county, yeah, 14 probably. There were 10 towns.
I took 5.
Well,
But Yuba's not gonna take 5.
No.
Univis is not gonna be 5, but they got 3/4 down.
Univis is not gonna even pay that because they made
Not all.
that clear.
So you're going to?
probably.
Because they,
Sounds like we're gonna lose some members.
Well, that's almost 200 calls that have to be dealt with, so it's a lot more than 4 to a head.
It's not 200.
In all reality, the city of Richland Center has got 3/4 of the calls. If you average it out, they're responsible for.
It's actually
They're not gonna like that very well either.
It's not 200
It's
calls.
68.
Town of Richland's, well, it's 68 calls that you gotta deal with often, okay?
The total is almost 200. So if everybody took 4 more that could, that would defray some, but that's another.
But that, you know, some that are not gonna take because they're.
I don't suppose there's any way you could call a forum where the people in the townships could come and ask these questions and be informed? I take silence as a no.
Probably not. I mean,
But
most
do
of us
you
know.
people from the rural area realize that on my utility bill here in the city, there is a fire department charge on that I pay every month, along with anybody else that lives in the city?
That's a fire district. That's a fire district.
Yeah, I understand that, but I would do the same for the ambulance. Get that through your heads.
But we can't do a district for the coming year. It's too soon.
Yeah, and you gotta be careful, there's revenue caps that you're not figuring out.
All kinds of things.
But I live in the city, so that means that I'm gonna pay this higher bill. Yep, okay.
Yep.
Same way with Sharon, same way with the mayor. And the people out, the farmers and stuff are not gonna like this. We ran this ambulance for about 50 years without the county paying us anything. And now all of a sudden, we're in dire straits. Why?
Because costs continue to go up and we have not charged anything.
No, it's because you don't have volunteers anymore.
Well,
That's not their problem.
It is their problem. They wanted hired staff. And now they pay all of their benefits and their state retirement.
That's what happens.
And we gotta kick it on you know where.
There's not. That, okay. Let's go back to just the committee. So do we have any action we can do tonight? Probably not. Let them wait till our contracts come out.
See them.
And we can all talk to our board to see if there's any way they would be willing. Because some townships probably could. Or we just see how it all falls and then next year is.
you know, I think that Town of Eagles is a small part of the big problem.
I gotta ask another question.
Yeah.
To the county. So suppose Richland looks at this number and goes, oh my God, we can't pay. And Gordon's question is, what ambulance service could we find? And it's a good question. What if they did find one? Who's paying for Pine Valley calls? Would this service then not go to Pine Valley? I guess then, because Pine Valley's in Richland Township? I'm really asking.
Good question.
Would that be then whatever ambulance service they found?
I would presume, yeah.
I would presume they would have to.
That's not a good situation either. That's not be very likely to happen.
Okay, well, I don't think there's any action to take tonight because each entity is gonna have to get their contract and make a decision if you're signing it or not. And if you're willing to absorb any of Pine Valley, whatever, that's a question everybody's gotta take home and get answered.
Well, I think we need to move on to the next item on the agenda. Discussion and possible action of the service director position update.
So Carrie Severson, Barb and I interviewed 4 candidates last week. There will be follow-up interviews scheduled for this week, or our follow-up interview scheduled for this week. But no final decisions.
So how many follow?
Do they look
I didn't say one
Okay.
follow-up.
Do they look promising?
Yes and no.
I understand.
Yes and no.
So 4 candidates were interviewed, and there's additional interviews coming up.
follow up.
Follow up.
A discussion and possible action of write-off aging accounts.
That was something that,
I had asked some questions about what the write-off policy was. So we showed that we have aging receivables. At what point do we write those off?
I think it's all based off what the billing company says, like once the billing company says we've gotten you everything we can. But they also show what's written off. I don't understand all of that.
My question is it the council's decision to
No.
write off? We have a billing contractor decides that we're gonna write it off?
Is they're the ones that pay, so it's like when you get a bill for $500. It goes to the insurance company and your
Right.
insurance company has an agreement to pay the 400, so that 100 is written.
So that would be some parts of it if people had insurance.
Yeah.
And there's probably other parts where people have no coverage at all. I'm just asking, so what is the policy? What is the policy about write-offs?
You definitely.
they, to the best of my knowledge, because this is one of I've been talking with different billing companies, just listening to them. And that's one of the selling points, arguments that come from the new billing companies is, what are you doing with your agent? Do you move it forward? Do you leave it with the old company? Are they working it? You know, because if they're working it, is there any reason to? There are some accounts that we know will never collect. And at that point, should we be writing them off? I mean, as a business owner myself, I write off a certain amount every month. I know they're not a collectible debt any longer.
Yeah, and so my question is, it seems to me as though the county is contracting with a billing provider and that the county and the billing provider would have an agreement on what the write-off practices are. I'm asking, what is that agreement?
I can investigate and see if the contract specifies, but I don't think it did.
To me, it seems like it should. That we're missing an opportunity to collect. Or at least have clarity and hold the contractor accountable.
They like collections because they get.
In that regard, at one time, we changed billing collectors because they were willing to let them go defunct. And then for a fee, would try to collect it. They got the money. So, and we quit working with that group, I believe. So it's a touchy one.
Some point, we were turning them over for tax intercept. Are we still doing that?
I don't know.
Or who knows? Okay.
Yeah. I have that meeting with the billing company tomorrow at noon, so these are timely questions that I can address with them.
I think it's important for the position of what does it cost to run an ambulance service. Collections is a really big part of that. And it's a way to drive some of these costs down if we have accountability. Amen.
Now, discussion and possible action on 2026 budget presentation.
So we pull up the budget. This is the budget that I prepared for next year. If you go down, yep, you run around at the bottom. And do a control plus with that, there we go. So if we start looking at, there are in this the different columns, you look at 2024 budget, 2024 total activity, 2025 budget, and then where we're at year to date, and then the last column is the budget that I made for 2026. That gives you some history, lets you know where we're at, and then where I see us be. So this budget was prepared in June. So when I looked at where we were in June, we were over 512,000 in invoice fees. I don't feel that going to 102 million is, or 101,250,000 was probably again. I don't feel that that's unreasonable. I think that we're fine with that, because we increased the ambulance food bills. Our call numbers are way higher than they were. We're gonna be on track for that. We haven't gone down. We're living in an elderly community, and the utilization's higher every year. So then if we look at the roof appropriation, this is an account that I do not understand. They are budgeting $3,500 a year for a roof. I assume that that's a maintenance, but it doesn't make sense. That's an income account. I have no idea what that is. So I copied what last year did. It doesn't make sense. Ambulance due from townships. You notice that it increases significantly. Last year, we budgeted $156,000, $466,000 and a nickel. I'm not really sure why. But this year, for 2026, we're budgeting $400,000. That reflects the new fees that we're charging. With that, we'll be able to be into covering our expenses. Prior year collection, there is only about $1,000 out from Savoca, the old billing company. We're not gonna collect more than that, and after this year, we probably won't receive anymore, so I left that at $1,000. Don't count on credit card rebates, I don't even know why that's a thing. Other miscellaneous revenues, I put in for $2,000. I think that's budgeted low. Because since I have been here in this position, these are things like fair standby. We bill for that. We did a rodeo standby. We did
Up city drags.
Help City Drags. All of those events pay. Since I've been in this position, I've billed out almost $5,000. So I think that's a very conservative amount, and there are funds that we'll be pulling in. Our biggest expense is, of course, our people. Our expenses went from 222 to 372 in salaries. That seems like a big increase. That's an additional, but I want to make sure I clarify why. That's adding the additional EMT. It's adding Sam from a contracted position to a county position. So we're going to see an adjustment. Our part-time, honestly, there is no part-time now. All of our part-time people are no longer with us. We have temp casuals. It's a much more desirable position to have because there aren't benefits associated with that. It saves me money. So at this point, even though I budgeted $13,796, those people are not with us. That will be a zero. We won't have part-time. Salary overtime is at $79,417. There's automatic overtime in every week at 8 hours per EMT because they work 48-hour shifts. So you will have overtime. You can't get away from it. But now we go to temp casual. You notice that in 2024, total activity of temp casual was 106,000. That's unbelievable. That's a lot of money. We this year are on pace to do about the same. That needs to change. The reason it's that high is the way the management was handling the schedule previously. We're not doing that now. I anticipate 41,000 next year total in temp casual expenses. It's just a more tightly managed schedule. Ambulance crew pay, that's your paid on call. That they budgeted 62,000. I don't understand why. We spent 20,000 in 2024. We've spent 16,000 in 2025. I budgeted at 15,000. Per diems, that is the per diems we pay to you folks. And I noticed that last year there was only 200, or so far this year there was only 270. I found out why they weren't offering them to you. If somebody hasn't gotten their per diem slip and wants one, please see me. You should be offered your per diems. We do have a budget line for that.
I thought the per diem was paid by the county.
It is.
I mean, okay,
It's part of my budget from as a county department. Then the rest of these are your FICA, your retirement, your dental and health. One thing I want to mention is your health and dental. I budgeted open positions at family rates. The county has this terrible thing that they do that drives me crazy and has driven me crazy for 27 years. Please don't be mad at me, administrator. They budget either at single rate or whoever's in the position. You are doing your department a true disservice when you do this. Not a good picture. Because if I have a director who is in that position, they get hit by a bus tomorrow, God forbid, the next person comes in with a family of 8. They're going to get family insurance. You have not budgeted appropriately. You will be over budget. When you budget for a single family, you are budgeting to fail. Don't do it. Soapbox done, sorry. But you will catch yourself. And so those costs are up. I know that, but are they realistically up? Probably not. Where are we now? We are down to training and aids. This is one that is at 2,500. We haven't come close to spending that, but I want to leave it there. It's important. We need to be focusing on that. Health insurance reimbursement, another one that we need to leave at 2,500. The county has a deductible reimbursement policy, and we have to reimburse our employees if they meet their deductibles. We pay the last 500 per family, I think it is. Pest control, that's 500. We haven't been doing it. It needs to be done. Lights, we way under budgeted this with the new building. I don't know if we didn't know what we were doing, but we're going to be over budget in that category this year. I budgeted appropriately next year. Telephone, easy, that's not changing. Heat, another category, we way under budgeted last year. We doubled that budget because it's not, we're going to be over budget in that. Your service on your machines is pretty standard. Insurance claims repairs. We did not budget for that. That's a risky move. If I have an ambulance that someone needs to deal with, there is a deductible. We're not budgeting for that. Fire system maintenance, that was another item that was under budgeted. Our fire systems have to be inspected because we have living quarters. They have to be sprinkled and we have to have that. So I budgeted that more appropriately. Ambulance equipment maintenance, 7,500. Records check, we have to do background checks on our new employees. That's at 100. Heating and air conditioning maintenance at 500. Immunizations, we have to offer certain immunizations to our employees. Medical supplies, we've been, in 2024, we spent a lot of money. We spent 27 grand. This year we're at just about 20, so I thought 25 was appropriate. Postage, 150, office supplies. We dues and subscriptions, advertising, registrations. Most of that's all common and standard. Lodging is 400. They didn't plan on that before, but we're spending that if we have to send staff to Winsa, which is you shouldn't be doing. Mileage, we shouldn't have mileage. We have ambulances, we have a fly car, there's no need for mileage. Uniform allowance, we do have clothing allowance for our full-time staff. So that's now being utilized, it wasn't utilized before. Protective clothing and gear, we have turnout gear that we have to provide for our staff, that's a requirement. Diesel fuel, hard to budget for, but we put a number in. Garage maintenance, this is building maintenance on the actual garage. Maintenance supplies. You're gonna see nothing on this line. This is a new line I had added. There is budget numbers in there, but they added the line. I think in the final budget that was turned in, I asked for 1,000 in that line. Communications, equipment, and mailbox, that is for computers and things like that. I think that's what that one is. Computer software, we have to pay for our software for scheduling and for our reports. Equipment under 5,000, those are things like your pulse oxes, your small equipment. Fire assistance, those are our lift assists. We do pay fire when we page them out to help us lift a patient. Insurance for the ambulances, workers' comp, building and property, vehicle insurance. All of those are I don't put those numbers in, the clerk's office does. Now comes to my special event supplies. That's things like water for my EMTs when they're working standbys. I need to provide that. It has a zero. There's $1,000 in that line. It's a new line that we had added. Claims clearinghouse. Very underfunded. There is a zero in that line because I was working that out, but there is a number in the final budget and I increased it to $30,000. I don't know what happened. This is when we changed billing companies. In 2024, they weren't collecting a lot for us. We only paid $11,000. In 2025, so far, we paid $18,000 to our clearinghouse. It's based on percentage collected. I haven't looked at what we collected in 24 from Sabaka, but I mean, this is in June. So at 6 months, we're over what we paid the whole year before. That's a lot of difference. So I increased that significantly, like way over budget in that. Contract services. This is things that we have to have contracted staff in. There's nothing in the line. Bills no line detail. There's no longer, that's not an allowable cost no longer. We were told absolutely don't. And you'll see a need a line for write-offs. That is where they were putting our write-offs. Now there is a line that says insurance write-offs. Ithaca and 400,000. Ithaca and Yuba, both the first responders groups, get a $1,500 stipend from the county every year to help fund and support those groups. That's the $1,500 that's budgeted that will go to them. They just request it and write the check. That is the total budget of the ambulance. It does leave us in black about $50,000, I do believe. I don't have that on the bottom line, I'm sorry. But the anticipation is that we will, with the extra funds, put them aside into, I think it's 57, I know what it is, 57,000 into a revolving account for an ambulance, anything that's over and above. So that we can start replacing the ambulances on a regular basis. Does anyone have questions? It's a lot.
A question, that very first, on the first page, the ambulance fees invoice, I think you said $1,250,000.
I read it wrong.
25,000?
Yes, I read it wrong, I'm sorry.
Okay.
What I did honestly is I took the 512, doubled it. Sorry. Because that was June's numbers, it seemed appropriate to double it. And I am a very conservative budgeter instead of being, I won't fill my budget with fluff. I don't believe in doing that. If I'm going to set myself up for success, I want to do it the right way.
I have a question. Contract due from townships.
Yes.
You go from, let's just double the 2025 number and make it 150. How do you go from 150 to 400,000?
Because that was putting the $2,500 base and then increasing from 175 to 225 a call.
$2,500 base includes the first 10 calls, correct?
Yes. And that number may not be correct because when I first got,
So you're basically going from 175 to 225. You're increasing by 30% roughly, okay, per call. So how do you get a 200% increase in revenue when you're only increasing it per call by 25?
and this is not the final budget that was submitted to the board to do. Trish, do you have? Because I think that that's actually one that we did change because I misunderstood the initial. I thought that it was that plus the calls. But I don't think that that's the one that actually got submitted. I don't know what came. We haven't gotten our sheets back yet, I don't think.
Would go up quite a bit.
So the budget that was submitted to the board is not even this budget, right? That's what that's what I'm hearing.
I submit mine to Trish and to Derek, and then they submit to the board. I don't submit to the board.
But it wouldn't be changed from what you,
They do, they always are. As a department head, after you submit to the clerk's office, they add it up every year. That's standard. I mean, let me get back. Files.
Yeah, that number did stay the same, so we'll just have to adjust that.
Okay. Because when I first got Trish's memo to me, I misinterpreted it. And if you took the 2,500 times the calls plus the number of calls, that's where I got the 400. Was putting a base down and then the calls on top of it.
So the actual increase is?
It's still a balance. It's still the budget in the black after we changed it. But the actual increase, I think, was 337 was the final number. Does that, I can,
Almost looking more like 275 maybe.
was it?
250.
So, and that 337 increase me all volume. Total increase in revenues.
Any other questions on the budget?
Numbers are not my strong point, but it seems that when we went through your presentation that we were having a small surplus at the end. Not trivial, but not huge. When we understand what the actual increase is for the contract payments from the participating municipalities, what does this budget still accurately depict that?
It does. The one the clerk's office has will do that. And like I said, the 57,000 is to put to buy new ambulances. It's not like it's.
But if you're going from 400,000 revenue from the townships down to 250, you're not gonna have a $57,000 surplus, you're gonna have a $100,000 shortfall.
It may be, that may be. I mean, I need to look at the changes that we made because I know that we have another budget where I'm positive, Trish, that Derek sent me back one with that change. Like, I am positive I saw one come back. But I can't get to that right now. I'm so sorry.
I'm not looking at call volume though, if you're over at 1040 now. And you've got months to go.
And that's why I raised
This is
it.
gonna make 400, but it'll make 300.
Our busier months are in the fall when
Everything goes wrong.
ice, all the bad things, sorry. I don't like to talk like that, but that's.
You could be well over 300,000 easy. Okay, any more questions on the budget? We don't have much we can take action on that. Do you need a motion with respect to that? Or we just,
It's already launched.
but it's
All right.
already launched, so we can't take it.
All right,
Items for the next meeting?
What will be the date of the next meeting?
Pardon me?
The date of the next meeting?
Purpose of the next meeting. I understand that this committee will not exist after December 31st.
Right.
So purpose of the next meeting,
Well, for one thing, if we are going to ask our respective municipalities how they want to handle Pine Valley, we might want to meet to discuss that, because if you're going to sign a contract, they need it by the 1st, so.
it's like the 27th October.
But can we meet a week sooner? Can everybody?
Is that right to discuss on the next meeting?
Well, that's it. I mean, how we want to handle Pine Valley. Because if everybody's gonna go home and ask if you'll take 2, 3, 4, whatever calls, I mean, how are we supposed to know what we're doing here?
Well, I can further answer the question to that right now.
Some of you can,
Every township is gonna say, no, we're not going to.
but that,
But yeah, I know what you're saying.
if every township says, no, we're not going to, then the answer is Richland's going to. And Richland's answer is, no, we're not going to, which means we have a debacle.
I suspect that Eagle's gonna accept some additional responsibility.
Well, I mean, you do what you want, guy, but I think we should come back here and discuss what you got on that point, or else, I don't, I mean, this is a critical piece of this.
I'd feel better if we did that. If you don't.
If they need the contracts back by November 1st, I don't think we should wait till October 27th to come in here. Can we do it on the 20th?
I will not be able to attend.
We have our county board meeting that night.
Is there, somebody just give me a night that works. I'll figure it out.
About the 13th.
Well, can you all get back to your township boards and everything in time to hit that?
No.
That's the fire meeting that night.
So,
Should we do it like the 21st?
I can,
21st, that's a Tuesday.
Tuesday.
you know,
can do that.
all right. October 21st at the same time?
Can I propose 5 o'clock? Does that work for
I
people?
don't know, just fine.
Because I won't be able to be here at 7 that night. So if you want me here, I could be here at 5.
Why works for me?
That's good. Earlier the better.
Be dark by then anyhow.
Yeah.
So now does it make a
I
difference
can
that
do
we
that.
have
and Fish, if we're not going to be at a point where there's no need to bring anybody in to discuss the finances, we're done.
So I was.
Yeah, what can we do with it?
No, deal.
Okay,
So all you want, I just
What
want to
time?
make sure that the only
5
thing you
p.m.
want on your agenda is to discuss calls,
October what?
distribution.
23rd.
Tuesday?
Yes.
Okay, need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
I.
All opposed?
It's hard.
Carries.
I don't think the problem.
Yeah.
75, it'll still go down to 20. I don't believe that.
Oh,
We can't go from 50, 70, even 100.
I